It was a rainy day in August 1990. I was still a fairly new officer, still full of hope. I'd never seen a bad accident or anything bad other than a few bad fights. It was a slow day, not many calls coming out in the quiet town of Myuu, Kentucky. I yawned and stepped out of my car to go grab a cheap cup of coffee from the gas station. I remember standing around and talking with my partner while watching the rain fall out of the window. A call came out over the radio.
You call for a welfare check of resident adult male. Family has not seen or heard from relative in a week. Units en route respond.
I look at my partner and shrug as she informs dispatch that we would be en route. We arrived at the house and met the caller, the homeowner's sister. She was extremely concerned about her brother as no one in her family had heard from him in a week. He wouldn't answer the phone, he wouldn't answer the door, and they couldn't see him through any windows. We asked the sister to wait on the sidewalk as we approached the house. I knocked on the door. "State police, come to the door." There was no answer. I knocked again, and no answer. The sister attempted to call again, and I could hear the phone ringing inside the house. My partner approached the back of the house and found the window on the back door had been busted. She reached through and unlocked the door, and I followed in behind her. We soon found the occupant in the attic, knocked over a chain on the floor next to him and an extension cord around his neck tied to the roof support. I had only heard stories about officers finding suicide victims, how sad it can be and how sickening it is if it's your first. I looked at him, his neck elongated like a giraffe from hanging, his face frozen in pain and purple. I felt sick, and I had to force it down. I had a job to do. We cordoned off the house as a crime scene as per protocol. Evidence techs, chaplains, investigators, and other officers arrived, all to fulfill their duties. I held it together until the crime scene was released. I sat in my car, unable to get the image of that man out of my head. My partner asked if I was okay, as she knew it was my first suicide scene. "Yeah, I'll be fine." But I knew that was a lie, and so did she. "I don't know if you're much for prayer, but maybe you ought to speak to the chaplain. It might do you some good." I just repeated, "I'll be okay." Later that night, I sat at home smoking a cigarette at my kitchen table and drinking a glass of bourbon. I had the TV on in my living room as background noise. It was a failed attempt at keeping my mind off things. I look out my kitchen window into my backyard. I'm startled as I see him standing right outside my window. He's staring right at me. His face is still frozen in pain and his neck is still stretched. He reaches out towards me and in a raspy voice utters the words, "Help me." I'm so startled I jump backwards out of my chair and spill my bourbon as I fall to the floor. I hit my head on the counter and fall unconscious. When I wake up, it's early morning. My head is killing me. I would see this man every night for the next 2 weeks. I would stay up all night and it began affecting my work. I had to get help. I spoke to the department chaplain and the department psychologist. It helped for a while, but sometimes when I'm stressed out or when I feel like too much of a failure, he comes back.